Hey guys, welcome back to Go Spencer. We got an extra special video for you guys today. As you can see by the thumbnail, we're talking about how to increase your Pokemon investments, how to take your cards that might be worth $50, $60 and turn them into $500, $600 cards. Guys, this is a no-brainer. Yeah, it really depends on what you do and what you're looking for in these cards. You know, do you want to grade them? Do you not? What is grading? How do I grade them? We'll go over all that stuff in this video. And we got a list of about a dozen cards or so that I think are doing very well in comparison to their raw price and their PSA 10 price. So, for example, we'll take this 151 Sunzard here. Beautiful card, going for about $250 right now. But in the graded form, in the PSA 10, of course, all this whole video, we're going to be using PSA as a standard for all the grading prices. There's a ton of grading companies out there. You can choose which one you think is the best for you. But we're going to go with PSA for this one. As for our raw prices, we're going to go off TCG Player. It's well known in this industry as a standard price for single cards. And for the PSA 10 prices, we're going to go off price charting and also some eBay recently sold comps. So be plenty of information about that. So basically what happened was I pulled one of these, and it was this one right here, obviously, and it was about $110 at that time. We graded it, and now it's worth $1,000. So I mean, basically no brainer here. But there are things you got to take care of. The things you got to look for in the card. You need to be sure that you're going to send in a PSA 10. All right, so there's lots of experts out there that can help you with that. There's lots of tutorial videos and stuff, so we won't go into that too much. It's really up to you guys to follow through and do your research with that. So first of all, let's get into some of these cards. Like this one right here is a pretty huge jump from $250 all the way up to $1,000. So what exactly is grading? So we send this card to PSA. We fill out a form, we do some stuff online, we send it in. They get the card. A professional grader will look over this card very closely, front and back. Keep in mind, they're going to look at the back too. And they're going to assign this a grade, 1 through 10. 1 being terrible, 10 being gem mint. So, yeah, so if you're lucky, like this card right here would not make the cut. This has a little bit of damage up top here. I don't know if you guys can see that. So this is definitely not something I want to send in. But let's look at some cards that are doing very, very well right now. We're going to start here with Drowsy. Guys, this is from Scarlet and Violet base. And this raw card is going for about $36 right now, which is a shame because I bet we pulled a dozen of these, and I think I sold them for like $5 a piece or something like that back in the day. This one I don't think would make a PSA 10 because it is a little bit off-centered. But other than that, it looks pretty good. But the PSA 10... one just sold for $579. So you can go from a $36 card all the way up to almost $600 just by grading it, guys. And for most of these cards, if the PSA price is under $1,000, it's only going to cost you about $20 to grade a card, plus shipping and all that good stuff, fees and stuff. So keep that in mind too. Next we got Squirtle, guys. Stellar Crown Squirtle, what a beautiful card. One of my favorite illustration rares in the Scarlet and Violet era. These are going for about $70 right now, which is a good price for this card. But the PSA 10s are going for $280. So that's 4 times. You can quadruple your value of this card right there. Tell me, guys, have you pulled one of these cards yet? I think we pulled all 4. So we got all 4 Ninja Turtles. That's what Spencer says. He thinks Leonardo, Donatello, all that stuff. So next, we got literally, I think, the best illustration rare ever. And that is the Magic card, guys. This gives me the cool Giratina vibes from Lost Origin. I think it's done by the same person, the same kind of artwork and stuff like that. Very cool card, very underrated. This card was pretty cheap for a long time, but it has soared in price up to about $238 in a raw card. This one I would not send in the PSA because it is a little thick on these 2 borders right here. I just don't think it would make the cut to be a 10, and I do not want PSA 9s. All right, so a PSA 10s, they're going for $1,525, guys. To take a $240 card and shoot it all the way up to over $1,500 is absolutely crazy. Yeah, so I mean, this is a beautiful card on its own, but I would love to get one of these and have it graded someday. If you do like the artwork, you can pick up the Japanese version of a lot of these cards for a lot cheaper. They're not worth as much, obviously, in the PSA 10 because the Japanese card quality is a lot better. So your chances of getting a 10 are a lot better. But stick around to the end. We'll kind of talk about what makes these cards so much more valuable in a tin compared to some of these other cards. Next, we got Raichu, guys. We're sticking with Paldea Evolved right here. Very cool card with Raichu hanging out. Looks like he's taking a little nap upside down on his bed there. This card raw is selling for $55, which is pretty expensive, I think, for a Paldea Evolved card. But however, lots of people really like this card. However, the PSA 10s are going for $360, so that's 6 times your money, guys. I mean, why do you grade cards? There's some cards we grade just because we like and want to get them encapsulated and graded to have in our collection, and that's fine. They might not be worth anything, but they're worth it to us. But there's some cards, there's some people out there who like to sell cards. Like I don't sell very many cards at all. I tend to keep everything we get, especially now, seeing how much some of these cards are shooting up in value, kind of like that Drowsy. You know, I kick myself in the butt for selling a lot of these cards for so cheap. So I'm just going to start keeping everything I pull. So when it comes to grading, yeah, we're looking at $360 in a PSA 10, which is absolutely crazy. Up next, we got Tyranitar, again, Paldea Evolved, guys. So these early Scarlet and Violet sets where the quality control was not as good as it is in some of these more recent sets. You're dealing with Base, Obsidian Flames, Paldea Evolved. The card quality just isn't there. Lots of off-centeredness going on, lots of print lines. I think this one has one going across here. Print lines were huge because Scarlet and Violet is when they really started doing this kind of artwork with the reflective backgrounds and stuff like that. It's a little different than the Sword and Shield. So I think it might have taken them a little bit of time to get that process down correctly. So this thing is going for $49 in a raw card. Wow, that's amazing. But in the PSA 10, we're looking at $429. So about 9 times the value right there. Ooh, would this be worth grading? I don't know. We pulled a couple of these. I might have to consider that in our next grading submission, guys. Next, we got the beautiful Eevee, guys. This card is not quite as much of a jump. We're looking at $98 in a raw card. But this thing was pretty low for a long time. You could have picked one of these things up for about $40. Now the price is shooting up because of popularity, especially with the new Prismatic Evolution set being out. People are eating up all these Eevee and Evolution cards. But in a PSA 10, we're looking at $315. That's pretty remarkable. Triple your value right there. Up next, we got an Obsidian Flames entry, guys. Check it out, guys. This is the Ninetales. Going for about $49 in a raw and $50 in a PSA 10. This is one of the most expensive cards in Obsidian Flames. It isn't the Charizard Special Illustration Rare, which I think is a great card. So yeah, you can 6 times your money on this bad boy right here if you were to submit one and get a PSA 10. All right, guys. Next we got, and this is not the right one. I don't have the Charmander with the stamp right here, the Pokemon Center that would come in the PC Elite Trainer boxes. But however, let's just assume for a second this one has that stamp. These shot up in price, and a lot of these PC stamp ones are going to the moon right now. But this card set pretty low, under $40 for a very long time. But now it has shot up to over $100. So it's sitting about $140 right now in a raw, good condition, near mint form. But the PSA 10s, oh man, those things are going for $1,530. So that's about 12 times your money back on this card. If you're lucky enough to have one of these, I would definitely go through your collection, look, and see if you got one that would meet all the PSA 10 requirements, and I would send that bad boy in because that would be a huge card to have in any collection. This one's not real. This is kind of an honorable mention, guys. This is the Game Stamp promo from Obsidian Flames. I kind of only bring this one up because this is the only one I got, but I had like 3 more, but I threw them away in the bag from GameStop. And about 2 days later, I was trying to find it, and I realized I must have just left it in the bag, and the trash had already come and taken it. But this thing, yeah, it's going for about $100 in a PSA 10. But I would keep my eye on this card. It might shoot up in value. Now let's get into a little bit more higher-end cards. We're going to go with Special Illustration Rare, guys. This Bubble Mew from Paldea. Paldean Fates is insane. This thing was like $80 for like a whole year. Recently, it shot up to over $400 for a raw card, which I think is justified. This card is iconic, and I think it will go down as one of the best Special Illustration Rares in the whole Scarlet and Violet era. Everybody loves it. You got a shiny baby Bubble Mew floating around with all his friends in the background. That's really cool. But this thing is $400, going for $1,000 in a PSA 10 right now. That is just unbelievable. guys. So that's what, 2.5 times your money back on this card. This card is not very easy to pull. I'm sure some of you guys know that. And finally, we're going to deal with the little Sword and Shield here, guys. Giratina V-Star, this thing was easily pick-upable for under $80 forever, but it's now shooting up to $230. All these cards are shooting up because of Pokemon craze is going nuts right now. It's hard to find packs. Card prices, card singles are going through the roof. But this thing in a PSA 10 is over $500. So at least almost double your price right here and getting this thing graded in a PSA 10. So that's pretty amazing, guys. So let's talk about what are you looking for in a PSA 10. There's lots of apps out there that will kind of show you your centering. There's some tools you can buy on Amazon and eBay that you can line up your card. But I think these new modern apps do a lot better job and leave a lot of guessing out of it. So what you're going to want to do is, if you're looking at this card, like, I just want to do the eye test on it. How well is the centering? This one is pretty good. This would definitely be a candidate to send in. I'm looking for any kind of damage on top. A lot of these Scarlet and Violet era cards, you will see kind of like that Charizard I showed in the beginning. You will see some top damage on a lot of them. I think of the 9 Charizards we pulled, 6 of them had some kind of damage on top, which is just upsetting. So, you know, of course, you always got to make sure you look at the backside too. There's lots of Facebook groups and stuff out there, Discords and chats and stuff like that, where you can actually post pictures of your cards and get people to kind of know what they're talking about, to kind of look it over and help you make your decision if it's a card you want to send in or not. And don't feel bad if you send one in to get graded and you think it's a 10 and it comes back as a 9. It kind of burns a little bit, but if anything, you can always crack it open and take the card out of there and go back to your raw form. Guys, we also need to take a second to kind of go over what makes a card valuable and what doesn't, especially when it comes to getting it graded. So I have 2 examples here. One is worth a lot of money and one is worth not very much. All right, I'm sure you can probably tell why, but there's a couple factors here we're dealing with. We're dealing with, what do people want? Japanese, hey, great. You know, these are the exact same card. Actually, the Japanese looks a lot better. This is worth triple what this is. You know, Japanese cards, grading them typically do not pull off the same kind of results as you would expect to get with like the same in the English version. Hard to pull, rarity, okay? Some of these cards are very hard to pull. This is 1 in 1,600, 1,700 packs to pull one of these Moonbreons. We never pulled one, okay? So I went out and I took a gamble and I bought one of these for about $650. Graded it, came back as a 10. Now it's worth about $3,000. All right, so so rarity kind of can play a role in it, especially with some of these like illustration rares and stuff like that. Special illustration rares in the new sets. Some are very, very hard to pull, and they will have a higher value than some of the other ones that are easier to pull, because every set kind of has their own pull rates. And some are very easy, some are very hard. Next, we're going to look at population, okay? And gem mint rate. What I mean is, gem mint rate is how many of these are there in the PSA 10 in the world, a gem mint, all right? So there's like 14,000 of these. This card kind of goes against the grain. There's a whole lot of them, and a lot of them you have a very good chance of getting a PSA 10. Evolving Skies quality control is very, very good compared to some of the other Sword and Shield sets. Clearly, like I'll show you here in a minute with some of these other alternate arts and stuff that I have out. So basically, man, you just don't know. You don't really know what card is going to take off. So I'm constantly looking at cards in our collection and seeing what they're going for today. I'll check back in a couple months and see how much they've gone up or down and try to ask myself why and try to explain it. I really don't know. It's really about what people want and what people don't want. But you can there are some factors that are standard across the board with a few outliers like this one here. How hard it is to pull. Do people even want this card? And the gem mint rate, okay? Some of these cards like that Magikarp I showed earlier, very low gem mint rate. We're talking like 20%. So 20% of all the ones sit in the PSA. So these are ones that people like looked over and thought could possibly be a 10. Only 20% of those are actually coming back as a PSA 10. A lot of these early Scarlet and Violet sets, very low gem mint rates, hence why the value has increased so much from a raw card to a PSA 10, if that makes sense, guys. Like I said, a little bit later on, I'm going to give you our Discord, and if you guys want to join in there, if you guys got any questions that you don't want to post on this YouTube video, you guys can ask me stuff in there. Like if you're serious, like you really want to know, you really need some help or something like that, I myself or other people in the Discord would be glad to help you out. So I'll post that. I'll talk about that a little bit more later. So basically, and it's your oyster, man. What do you want to grade? What cards you got? You know, it really depends on the collector. You guys probably don't open packs like we do on the channel. Of course, we're primarily a pack opening channel, so we're constantly ripping packs and having fun and adding to our collection. You guys might be, you guys might open some packs once a month or something like that, but you might have some of these cards we talked about today, or some that you want to buy, you know. And like I said, you can take a risk on buying cards. I personally would not buy expensive cards online. I only buy them if I see them in person, hence why I have not really bought very many expensive cards. Plus, I would rather pull them anyway. So yeah, that's all I really have for you guys today. I really encourage you guys to do your research, go through your collection and see, use these websites, use price charting, use eBay, use a TCG Player, and see what your cards are worth, and see if they're worth grading, okay? Because, you know, we got a lot of kind of higher end cards. If I can get these off here, like Lugia, huge card, value would increase substantially if it was a PSA 10, but of course it's not going to be with this kind of centering. One of my favorite cards right here is this Galarian Moltres. I love these symmetrical cards, they're beautiful. Of course this one is completely trash when it comes to the centering on this thing. Look at that. But yeah, so I encourage you guys, go through your collection, see what you got. Hopefully this video helps you out. If it does, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out our channel, guys. We post Pokemon content all the time, from pack openings to just talking about everything going on in the market right now and just how crazy it is, how hard it is to find some packs. But yeah, we kind of stick together. I do have a Discord if you got any questions, personal questions, like you want to reach out to me without making it public to everybody. I'll be glad to help you guys out in there. So I'll post a Discord in the pinned comments, and you guys can get a hold of me on there, and I can give you my opinion on some cards or some things you might be thinking of. You know what I mean. So again, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you guys in the future videos.